host, Tori Jae, and I'm joined by the lovely...
Taste of the star seed. It is I.
We're back, ladies. We are back. We are going to jump into something that I feel like we all think we know the answer to it, but like, let's really dive in. The question is, what is love? What is love? How do you define love?
We mentioned this in the other episode, right? That we were going to delve into it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
we said we got
love?
to. I feel like love is...
Okay.
Yeah, you go first. Let me think about this. I gotta think.
I don't know, like, for me, okay, I think I've said it in another episode, but I'll give you a bit of background because I'm always doing background talking. When I was younger, I would say, and this is obviously, we're not talking about self-love as well, although it's intertwined with it, but I would always say to my mum, how do you know when you're in love? And I would be told, you just know, that's what we say. We say, you just know. And you don't just know. That answer, when you're told that, you now don't know what to look for. And you mistake having, butterflies and this lustful attraction as love. And again, I'm saying that though, but my thoughts are going off on a tangent like they do. But I should mention that I have been recently thinking about love as well, right? And this is even a different thought process to where I was going to go. And there's this notion that when you say, I love you, right, to somebody, people question that. And I think I've written about it before. We question it. We say, no, you can't love somebody. They tell you how soon it is. You can't love somebody straight away because what is it that you're loving, right? It's lust. You don't know. You can't just love someone by looking at someone, right? But I think that I find a problem with that notion, and I think that that's what causes us to be so disconnected from love, because love is not unattainable. Love is in the little things. I woke up this morning, that's love to me. You know what I mean? Like, if I smell the flowers, that's love to me. When I see the sun, that's love. Someone says hello to me and says something nice, that's love. All of these small actions to me are love. You know what I mean? But we make it so unattainable, and then we just complicate it. You talk about conditional love and unconditional love, and all of these things are when we're talking about relationships, But on a basic level, love is, I think we embody love. Everything we do is love, but we're so removed from it that we're taught to see it as not love, right? However, back to the question. When we're talking about love in what is love in a relationship, right? And they say, oh, you just know, right? I find a problem with that notion because that now makes us see toxicity and think that that's love. We don't know what to look for. We don't understand things like, I guess you should be healthy love, What is healthy love? Because I guess if somebody thinks they're in love with you, or this is how someone displays their love, that's the way that they display their love. Is it healthy? No. Do you know what I mean? That's a different question, but it's how they display their love.
Right.
So, for example, having boundaries is healthy love. Someone might be taught, like we're always taught that through fairy tales and movies, really. Like stalking, for example, when a guy is obsessed with you and you tell him no, that's something I see in movies all the time. A girl will say no, she's not interested. And then the man will continue, stalk her, ignore her boundaries, in essence, until she gives in. And that's what men are taught to do to women when they say no. And women are taught to take that and maybe eventually I might like him. Toxic. That's a lack of boundaries. That's a lack of respect for your boundaries. That's not him being in love with you. That's him being mentally unstable. You know what I mean? Someone stalking you and harassing you until you say yes. So those are like notions of love that we grow up looking at, thinking, oh, this is what love is, and it's not love. What else? What other things are we sort of taught? But yeah, apart from that, you're not taught to
jealousy. We're taught
see boundaries in love.
love.
Jealousy, exactly. Jealousy is love. Possessiveness,
because the
is
more
love.
jealous and crazy someone acts, like he love you. he acted so
right.
crazy.
Right. Toxicity. Never anything that you're not taught to show how, somebody that honors you, somebody that respects your boundaries. You know what I mean?
That part.
And also,
respecting
you know
your
what
boundaries.
I mean? Like, somebody that respects your boundaries. And also, like, being, you're a couple, but you're also a solid individual on your own. Having space to do different things, You don't have to be joined at the hip. Things like that. We're not taught that. We're just taught a lot of toxicity and saying, okay, well, that's what it is. No,
Right.
And also, if you don't practice the love yourself, right? If you don't love, so now, for example, I know what I like and what I don't like, and I'm still learning every day. And I know I like to create peace around me, and I know that I respect myself and I honor myself and I listen to myself. So anybody that comes into my life has to do the same thing. As soon as they start to dishonor that, because I naturally already do that, I can call it out and be like, that's not the kind of love that I'm looking for. But that's because I know that now. Before I didn't know that. I didn't know how to honor myself. I didn't know how to listen to who I was and what I wanted. So when people would come and give me rubbish, I would accept the rubbish. Even though I knew I didn't want it, but I didn't know what it is I did want. I didn't know what it looked like.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
Right.
again, I know it sounds cliche, but everything stems from loving yourself.
It does.
Yeah.
It does. It does. And like how you start that process is a whole nother thing. But like, if I'm gonna backtrack and try to answer the question, I'm still struggling,
Yeah.
right? My brain just does too many things. But
Right.
I feel like love is just simply, it's an energy. You know what I mean? It's an energy, and it should be a consistent energy, and and it's something that should be reciprocated, an energy that should be reciprocated. It's something that
Do you think so? Well, actually, we're talking about relationship loves, right? So
yeah. Love, I think, is just an energy. You know what I mean? Like, like you said, some of the small things, right? So like if I'm talking about relationship wise, or just, any kind of relationship, you know what I mean? Like if I'm
like
walking
any
inside,
kind of connection, yeah,
any kind of connections, right? So if I see somebody and I smile, like that's a form of love. I'm showing you love, or I say something kind or whatever, and you receive that energy. Whether you give that energy back to me or not, you might internalize that love. You might give it to yourself. You might take that and it now done boosted your head, and you now, feeling real good, and you give that energy to somebody else. So it's like an energy that we exchange, that we should exchange. And it's beautiful when that energy is of a high frequency. You know what I mean? Like that's the best way that I can try to wrap my head around it, because there's so many millions of ways I can describe love, But I think, like, kind of adding to what you were saying earlier, I just think that because a lot of us don't really know what that looks like, you've not been taught, and quite frankly, a lot of people couldn't teach you because they didn't know either. You know what I'm saying? It's like, when you don't know what it looks like, you mistake anything that feels like anything for love. Right. You know what I mean? Specifically things that like have been some sort of example in your life. And one thing I definitely wanted to mention is like these movies, right? We talked about the movies from back in the day, the 90s movies, because 90s is a sweet spot. Like there's a lot of different time periods. People say there was old school loves, like the 50s and stuff. But a lot of times, in our generation, you hear people refer to that 90s R&B or 90s movies. And it's like, I'm not going to lie, certain songs come on, it puts me back in this moment in time. And I'm like, and it feels good. It's like, oh, okay. But the way that I've grown, as good as it feels to hear that music and like reminisce over like the moment, the 90s childhood, I hear the words so different now, girl. I'm like, what'd he just say?
Girl, I'm telling you. I'm like, you're toxic ass. Oh, so you just cheated on me? You will not stop cheating and you begging me back? Really?
Girl. Like from the baby boys to remember Tyrese had that song, How You Gonna Act Like That? I guess the girl trying to leave him.
How you gonna
and he's like, how you gonna
now?
act like that? Weren't we just making love? And it's like, that don't matter. You trifling, I'm leaving you. Like, what are we talking about? Like that's how they normalize toxicity. They made us fantasize about the wrong thing. So the song is beautiful. The words are, well put together in like this artistic way, and then like you listen to it and you're like, right. Like, so when we're going through things, and music is how we relate. Music it's another form of art. It's how we express ourselves. But yeah, you listen to things. I've been listening to things so different. You know what I mean? It's like I can hear it different. But when you're going through something, if you're going through a relationship or a hard time, you listening to those kind of words like, well, yeah, we was making some love, or like, he trying to call me now, and and it makes us like get stuck on the things that really don't matter. Like those are not the things that you're gonna hold on to when you're feeling your lowest. You're not thinking about that. And what we do is like we put ourselves in these cycles, these highs and these lows. It's funny, and I forget what it is. It's certain like hormones that's released in the brain when you go through like these toxic like cycles, when you're going through traumatic situations and relationships. Yeah, I need to, I'll pull it up, but there's certain hormones that you release that makes people addicted to, that's how people get addicted to these really toxic, unhealthy, abusive relationships. Something about the highs and the lows, and like the constant in knowing how it's going to play out as well. It's like it goes to this extreme bad, and then it goes like good, and it's like these different cycles that literally sends you on a high. It does something to the brain psychologically, and it's so deep, because I'm like, at that point, your brain is on repeat. Your brain is like experiencing this and sending you back into the cycle. It's really deep, bruh. Like, but yeah, I now, my whole childhood is different now. I'm like, these are the movies I grew up thinking was like beautiful. I'm like,
my God, like,
The Best Man.
Oh my God, trifling.
What was the other one? What was the one with? What was the one with Julia Roberts?
Jones.
Even the one with Julia Roberts too. Everybody loved that one. Yes, that one too.
My God,
all of them.
Like, no, honestly, I was watching Love Jones the other day, right? I told you, and I love the Love Jones. Everyone quotes, she must be like ocean. Like, everybody loves Love Jones, right? But it was so toxic. I said, look at this. I was watching a movie going, oh my God. Get out of here, brother. No, that's not cute. Sure, no boundary having self, and you're abusive. No. So many of them. And like you mentioned earlier, Baby Boy, that was like champion toxic movie.
And then she stayed with his ass in the end. After
all
that.
A toxic movie. Like, God, girl. What else was there? I just feel like most of those romance movies were toxic.
Poetic Justice.
Oh, yeah, bruh, yeah.
Jason's Lyric. And I love those movies.
Yeah, I love Jason's Lyric as well, actually. I love Jason's Lyric.
It just sucks. I mean, I still love those movies. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
me
I can
too.
still watch them, but it's hard. It's hard to... Now, I just be, like, talking trash. I'll be like, boy, bye.
If you don't, I'm telling you, me too.
Right. It's crazy. It's difficult to watch it from that.
Suffering.
Yeah.
I feel like we suffered.
Yeah.
I look at that and I go, wow, that's what we called love. And this is what these women were going through at the time, thinking that, but it's real toxic shit, man. That's not it.
Real toxic.
That's not it at all.
Like,
it's not it at all.
Real toxic. Like, and imagine like how much of your relationships you mimic that behavior. You want your relationship to be just like the movies. You want that. I want you acting crazy and doing all this.
Yes.
Because that's how I know you love me. You don't love me if you ain't acting crazy.
Right, because that's all it shows. Absolutely. I remember watching a movie a few months back, and I actually told you about it. I was so disgusted. You know, when you're just on Netflix and you're just looking for anything to watch. And I think it was around the Christmas time, and it was like called A Castle for Christmas or something like that. Yeah, you know when you just put on one of those movies. And it was so toxic. I just couldn't deal with the level of toxicity. So there's this lady, she's a writer. She's American and she goes to Scotland. to go and just find herself or whatever. And then she decides she wants to buy a castle, and the owner of the castle is a lord or something, one of these, whatever. And he's so toxic. He cannot stand her. He's nasty to her. He's not nice to her at all. Really horrible. Speaks to her terribly, And she, of course, being the woman that she is, and of course women are always groomed to be soft. I hate mongers. She's like, I'm going to keep trying because one day he's going to be nice. I will break through his walls. There must be a reason he's like this. That's not your job to find out. Don't make yourself the punching bag to find out why he's like that. That's not your business.
No.
Do you know what I mean? But the movie was encouraging that. And she kept trying upon all his nastiness. He was so nasty. And then after, obviously in the end, he now fell in love with her. And they got married happily ever after. I was like, so typical. So you're telling women again, just stick in there, continue to lay in there, try it out, eventually go through all the toxicity and the insults and the degradingness. It's because he loves you really. He just doesn't know how to say it. God forbid.
Right.
God forbid. So a lot of us will take that on board and say, yes, this is what makes a decent relationship. Well, he's going to like me eventually. Like how often, this is why you see women in relationships and the men are such psychopaths. But they're like, he'll get better, Like I always say things like, I've been here for a minute. He's going to get better. I know he's going to get better. They never get better.
No.
But it's because movies like this
don't.
feed us that notion, Just stick in there. He's just a damaged man. He just needs help. Guy, I'm not your goddamn therapist. I'm not doing it. No, seriously. I'm not your therapist.
You remember Waiting to Exhale?
Oh,
you remember Waiting to Exhale or Boomerang?
I remember. Boomerang.
The
Eddie
Wood.
Murphy, that little beast.
Remember The Wood? Dude disrespected her.
I remember The Wood.
Dude smacked her. His insecure behind. I used to love that movie.
Me too.
I used to love it. Dude smacked her on the
I need to watch
butt.
it again. I don't remember it fully. Who
Oh,
was
I
in The
remember that
Woods?
one. That's one of the ones I remember. The Wood was what was that?
Morris was in it, wasn't it?
Long? No.
Was he not in it?
Omar Epps, and Nia Long.
Yeah.
Yeah, Omar Epps and Nia Long.
Yeah, and Waiting to Excel.
It's crazy.
Like, oh, my bad, bro. Go ahead.
No. Waiting to Exhale was crazy. All of them were crazy. That was my only point. Like I was trying to find some other ones. Even Coming to America. Like I used to love Coming to America. I love that one. That one is like classic.
Oh my
so
God,
funny
but
to
that
me.
was such a toxic one as well, isn't it? I look at that, I just go and I pick her and I take her. Like all the movies are just delusions for women.
Even okay, but you know which one really was, and I don't know if it's necessarily a '90s one or not. But you remember the movie Two Can Play That Game?
Vivica Fox.
Yeah, and Morris.
Yeah.
And
Morris. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah,
I remember that.
It's crazy. It's crazy to me. Like I can't, bruh. I honestly can't.
It was so trash.
But these are the movies that we were attached to. Like I remember, like
and I
loving those. Me too.
Yeah,
I love the
representation. That's the problem, especially as Black people. Like I know that they do this in all their movies, to be fair, but especially for Black people, because we don't have any movies that we kind of see ourselves on. Oh my God, because we don't have representation. Do you know what I mean? So when we see the movies, we're like, oh, because that's the only kind of love movies that we're being shown. So we're looking at it like because. And it's the people that are writing it. People aren't writing. And I guess, but again, those writing it can only write what they know.
They can only write what they know or what they're
And what
assuming
they've
about our
seen.
community. And they're
That's
basically
true.
teaching us that's what we deserve.
Yeah.
That's what we
and that's
deserve.
why because they also have a lot of they're the ones who control our movies and everything. They control everything that comes out anyway. So heaven forbid.
Right. And then they know
Like,
the psychological like implications of devices and movies and media and music definitely.
Yeah.
So they know it.
In
That's why
general,
they head all of those sectors and like spoon feed us what they want us to consume.
Rubbish.
You know
and they
what I'm
have
saying?
the worst. Like the rom-coms are the worst as well. Rom-coms like have the worst storylines. None of them ever like. I mean, I'm trying to think of a movie that I've seen where they talk about, love that makes sense, that is full of freedom and respecting boundaries, and not possessive owner toxicity. I'm trying to think of any movies that I've seen that I've like, because even The Notebook, I used to love The Notebook.
She's Gotta Have It. I used to love Notebook too.
In it? Let me think. Is The Notebook toxic?
There's some toxicity in the possessiveness, especially with the other guy.
The love, yeah.
But I will say this, in some of the stereotypes, but I will say this, it is a little more. I gotta watch it again. I don't know. I don't want to bite off my tongue.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch it again as well. I haven't watched it for years.
Yeah, because I haven't watched it again.
We probably will see that he was so toxic.
Yeah, he probably was terrible.
Like, God damn it.
But from my memory, at least
really
like
sweet.
he knew she had her options. Really. Like, look, I'm wearing my options too. Like,
and she did it.
I like that. Yeah, and
that wasn't actually a common way of showing women. She's got to have it. Oh, of course.
She's got to have it. Yeah.
To be fair, she's got to have it. It's literally the only one I've seen that sort of narrates fantastic relationships to me. Like exactly how they should be. We got to
change that narrative.
Yeah,
we have to start normalizing.
We need more of that. Yeah. Look how much we struggled just now just to find a definition of something that was healthy and relatively nice for women. You know,
it's crazy.
And it's even like it's in the movie industry in particular.
It's in the kids' movies.
Yeah,
it's in all of the kids' movies.
It's programming though, so that from a young age, they literally don't care about self. It's just to find a partner.
All the girls in all the kids' movies, it's like the guy walks in. I put on Princess and the Frog because like that's the black Disney movie, like with a black princess. So I put on the Princess and the Frog, and the guy, like the prince or whatever, he comes to town, and all of the women all throughout the movie are just swooning over this guy. They're just like,
and he's so delusional,
like gasping. But it's stressing me out because Zuri and Zion are watching this, and
they're watching
it's gonna teach them like the girls need to be falling over for me. Is what Zion's gonna think, and Zuri's gonna feel like she needs to be acting like that. Boys. Like, no, ma'am, no, you don't.
I'm telling you, like, it's literally the indoctrination from such a young age.
Very
They're crazy,
young age.
Man. And if you're not paying attention, that's how they continue to traumatize you. Traumatize you and remove you from, like, your being. Do you know what I mean? You never even get a chance to flourish as you are. That's why we say we get on this journey and we have to find ourselves again and go back to self, because self didn't get a chance to develop. Before it got a chance to develop, they literally suppressed the life out of you and gave you all of these different foreign notions and indoctrinations that would just stop you from flourishing as yourself. And then when you get on this journey, you're like, wait, your soul starts to get restless. Like, wait, this is not really me. Like, why am I not feeling happy? What's going on? What do I need to do? You know?
Right.
So, yeah, man, like, seriously, love. So what is love? You know, what is love? Like I said, love is in the little things as well. It's not so complicated. A smile, all of these beautiful little things. But love will never, ever, ever disrespect your boundaries. Well, healthy love that you should accept into your life, should not disrespect your boundaries. It should honor your boundaries. It should not be jealous. It should not be manipulative. It should not cause you pain. Love really is not pain. They're lying. Oh, love is so much hard work. It's not. It's actually not hard work. It's hard work, like unlearning our toxic traits and healing our trauma is hard work, right? And that's the hard part of it. But when you start to do that, love is very easy. It's very easy because you start to learn how to respect yourself. And once you're respecting and honoring yourself, you learn to respect and honor other people because you allow them to just be. It's important to allow people to be. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you are... And when I say allow people to be, I don't mean allow people to, disrespect you. I just mean allow people to be in the same way you want to be,
Right.
Like, I love my freedom, so I'm always going to let other people be free and be themselves. In fact, I encourage people to be themselves. I want you to find out who you are. Just be yourself, flourish, have a great time. I don't want you to live life on my terms. I want you to live life on your terms. Just figure out what that is first,
Yeah. And like just to add, like, I know we talked a lot about a few movies and like some music, but the foundation that we get at home on what love looks like, that's like most of our initial foundation. Like, it's our initial introduction to love. And that doesn't just mean like watching your parents' relationships or relationships around you. It's also in how your family communicates with you. Yeah. And how you all show each other love. And if you weren't seeing regular healthy examples of what love looks like, what kindness looks like, what support looks like, what protection looks like. A lot of times you don't know how to even recognize when you're not giving yourself those things, you know? So even in our adult life, sometimes we get so used to saying things like, oh, well, that's family, or, you know, we have all these jokes and memes around the holidays, and people talk about, like, when you're going to Thanksgiving dinner, for example, and you got to go deal with all these toxic family members, and it's like, no, you don't have to go and deal with anybody that's toxic, that's going to make you feel away. You know, if you're spending time with people that disrespect and cross your boundaries, that isn't love, not from them nor to yourself. Because would you, and some people would, but would you make your child go and sit with somebody that's going to be constantly disrespecting them and making them feel bad? Most people go, nope, you ain't going to treat my kid like that, you know, at these schools or things like that. Like, so if you feel like that, like, why you allow yourself to sit there and take that? You know, we dismiss our feelings so often. We're taught to dismiss them because we're like, oh, that's family, or that's my grandma, or, you know, that's my dad, or, you know, that's my mom, my aunt, my brother, whoever. It's like, no, it doesn't matter. You're not allowed to disrespect me. And I don't want to be in a place where love doesn't exist for me, or where I don't constantly feel loved or feel like I'm valued and appreciated. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So we got to analyze all those things and try to take from, you know, every situation the beautiful and the healthy, and separate it from the toxic and the unhealthy, and start to decipher how those things have affected us and how we love ourselves. And then we can start to go on that path to, like, healing for real and really recognizing love. You see love, you recognize it. Can people fake and lie and meet you and love bomb you? Of course. But when you are on that journey, you will always notice you will always begin to notice, because people can only put on the front for so long. So that's the only way that we're going to protect ourselves, is like arming ourselves with knowledge and wisdom and that love, that self-love. So that's absolutely really all I wanted to add.
Yeah, I mean, powerful, Jazz. Like, for real, you know what I mean? That is the truth of the matter, man. I agree with you, especially with the fact that, childhood plays a major role.
Man.
Kind of makes you sad for society, because when you think about it, how many of us truly even had that? It's a very small percentage. I'm sure if there was to do a survey, you'd be, the way people grew up would be mind-blowing, you know what I mean? Like, who actually saw what love was, you know, who was taught how to love self.
Or just something as simple as, like, just something as simple as hearing love, hearing I love you. Like,
do you know what I mean?
There's a lot of kids, like, that
as a kid, were you taught boundaries?
Hearing it. No.
Please,
no, my boundaries were always crossed. Yeah,
I never heard that growing up at all.
In fact, you're not allowed to have boundaries as a kid. You're not even allowed to have boundaries.
Please, what is that?
Yeah, no, you don't get boundaries.
No, it's not even a word I knew.
First of all, kids aren't even considered like human beings or real
human
people.
Beings.
Like,
do you know what I mean?
Feelings and emotions.
Let alone to be telling you.
So you don't get boundaries. Yeah, no.
And then, okay, say, I don't like this, and it's honored. What do you mean you don't like it? I'll blow your head. You like it.
Yeah, who cares what you like? Do you want it or not?
I swear. But you have to think about it, though, because you know how we're social beings as human beings, right? And what that does to you. I think you're the one who told me how there was a study, and if a human being doesn't have human interaction with other human being for a certain amount of period, they will die. They won't flourish properly. Was it you that told me that? Yeah.
There's been several studies like that.
Yeah. If you're not in interaction, that's how important it is to socialize, right? But also you have to think about, and then again with the flowers, there's been experiments when you say lovely things to flowers and plants, even they blossom and they flourish, right? There's a difference. And even rice. Did I see something? I think I saw something with rice and water, and you saw the water and the rice that had negative words spoken into it got cloudy and dark really quickly, whereas the other one didn't. Something like that. But we have to think about how many of us as kids or growing up even have never heard I love you. You know, never heard it ever. Like, and then in your adult life, maybe you've heard it once, twice. And we're just normal. We just get on with our lives, but that's so damaging. that is so damaging. You know what I
Like
mean?
even if you didn't experience any other type of abuse and you just didn't hear that
Yes,
alone
it's
is
so
very damaging. Just
Like,
not hearing
you
the words
can't.
that you're loved. Yeah.
Oh my God! Like, you
Yeah.
don't know how to express that. It's very weird for you. You know, that's why now when I see people doing that, parents with their kids, I love it. I'm like, wow, you know, that's so cute. Like, because it makes a huge difference to your being, like just having that. And I just weep for so many of us because we did not. You know what I mean? So we're really trying.
Even back to the study, right? Like, human beings are such unique creatures because, like, I know we consider ourselves like the dominant species of all the animal species.
Right.
But and some species are very similar in terms of how they have to nurture their young. But most animals, like if you take a dog and you take it away from its family, it's raised alone with humans, that dog is still going to like bark like a dog and it's going to do things that like dogs inherently do, right? But you take a human being and you allow that human being to be raised around animals, it's going to like crawl around on all fours and it's going to like eat like they do and it's going to try to mimic their communication style. Like, we are so unique in the way we need to be nurtured. That's why every little thing is important. How we're being talked to, how we're being treated, how we're being loved on, how we're being encouraged. So many of us not only didn't get those things, but you also get the opposite. You get the discouragement, you get insults, you get attacked, or you've dealt with abuse. You know what I mean? So it plays a big role in the triggering this toxic behavior that's like unfortunately plaguing this world. You know what I'm saying? So we're really unique creatures. We really do need certain types of interactions, healthy, loving ones. We need touch, physical touch, you know. Those things are really important to our development. But that study was the first time that I was like, wow. I was like, you could die? Like, imagine just not being spoken to or feeling touch, and like that alone making you die because you haven't been stimulated in any way. And I think that was really profound for me, you know. And then even thinking about like the ways that we adapt to our environment, I'm like, we don't do anything that's natural for humans to do if left in in an unnatural environment. So I just think it's interesting, you know what I'm saying? Like, are we the dominant species, or it's like we need a little more attention?
I think
we need a little more attention.
It's a very delusional way of thinking to even believe that we are, because we say that. The only reason we say that is because they say we have the ability to speak, which is so insane, because the animals have the ability to speak. We're the ones that just don't understand them, but they fully understand us.
They probably even remember everything that's happened. We're the ones that like have forgotten everything.
They're lost. We're the ones who are hypnotized. But no, because if you put a dog or a cat or any of these animals, they tend to know how to understand us in a way that we cannot understand them.
Right.
You might be able to tell certain things when you have your animals. But you don't understand them in the same way in which they actually understand us. So for us to say that we're dominant because of our way of speech, we say because we can talk. What do you mean? Because we can communicate. All animals communicate with themselves. Difference is we just don't understand what they're saying.
Right.
You know what I mean? And like you said, they are all quite solid in who they are, clearly. And this is why they don't have mental illnesses. But well, apart from the ones that we go put in zoos and turn into, you know.
Right, because they definitely do.
You know, but we are the ones who can't even. We're so easily moldable. You can mold us our environments play a huge role in how we turn out. You know, so.
It's funny too, because that could lead us into a whole nother hour-long conversation, but like that really goes back into like where we are as a people. You know what I mean? Like where we are as a people, and every little minuscule thing affecting who we become and how we are and how we interact. It's so evident when you look at this world and you look at like the colonization, you look at the slavery, when you look at the effect and the impact that has had on obviously the globe, but us as a people. It's profound, the effect it has had, because it just makes you remember that all of these things and systems that they've put in place are doing what they were intended to do.
Right.
You know, but that'd be a whole other conversation.
To completely destabilize us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And this is why
everywhere.
those who are, you know, who kind of think different and question these things are often just labeled mad. It's easier. Do you know what I mean? It's easier. And a lot of people just say, because it's easier to deal with than, you know, think, wow, is it that deep? What is happening? Is what's happening really that deep? So, so what is love? Boundaries. To me, love looks like freedom. And anything that restricts your freedom and ignores your boundary and dishonors yourself is not love. Getting lost completely in somebody else is not love either. There's that notion to be like, I was just swept off my feet and I was just lost in my everything. You belong to me. Don't lose yourself, sweetie. That's not love. Like, losing yourself in another person is absolutely not love, man. You have to be grounded in who you are. Love can only complement you. Does not engulf you in that way. Like, unless your own love, be engulfed in your own love, you know, but don't let yourself don't lose yourself in someone else as well. That's not. And whenever we're seeking that, we have to ask ourselves, what is it you're looking for? What are you trying to run away from? Why are you seeking such escape in someone else? You know what I mean? That's some deep questions to ask. That's not normal. Those are the questions that I ask myself, you know. So again, girl.
I agree with that. I love your definition just now. Love that definition.
Thanks.
Yeah, that was dope.
I hope you guys are loving it too.
I hope so. I hope so. Ladies, as always, we are going to get ready to wrap.
I mean, I love your top, by the way. It's so cute, by the way. Oh, have you guys, can you see Jazz? Girl.
I was out in these streets today,
giving.
girl.
Top is litty. You know, necklace giving.
I was out in these streets today, girl.
Girl, yeah, it's looking fantastic.
I ended up going to lunch. I went to lunch at this place. It was my first time, called Bar Vegan.
Oh, nice. That sounds really nice. What did you have?
It wasn't like alkaline or nothing like that. So it's.
Yeah, but I mean,
you know that good unhealthy vegan food. It was phenomenal. It was phenomenal. I got a detox. Definitely gonna detox here in a couple of days. But,
I mean, of course.
Yeah, it was phenomenal. Like, I could see myself going up there. Too much.
I wish you had something like that here. What is it?
It was good. There's another place I want to try too. So I'm trying to knock down some of these. This is a new spot. So
I mean, when we eventually meet up, because it's been a while since we've met up. We need to meet up. Do you know what I mean? In fact, we're probably going to do a live show. We've spoken about it. We're speaking it into existence now, guys.
I can't wait.
We're probably going to do a live show. You're going to meet us in person, and we're going to have a live podcast.
Oh, it's going
to be manifestation.
It's going to be bomb. You'll see it.
Yeah, you'll see us soon. But as always, guys, it's amazing speaking with you. Follow us on social media at the Pow Podcast, Twitter, Instagram. What's the other one? TikTok. And we'll see you guys next week.